Welcome back. This is the AM show, and it's time now for my blunt thoughts. Some of you you catch fever and stuff when it gets to this point in time, but maybe so I only manoki coming. Necessarily kind of mekano yopo fala without taking anything out. And today I've titled my blunt thoughts, Ghana's leaking basket, the abnormality of what we have normalized. Ghana's leaking basket, the abnormality of what we have normalized. Ghana 4, I'm going to be talking about education, the cost of living, and I'm going to be talking about even the majority leader on the back of what happened recently in Kenya and what he's been saying, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, together with Nilante Vanderpoy and their reflections. Because you say, they say that for the wise man, when you see your neighbor's beard on fire, what do? You get water and put it by your side. I see you nyansa. Menya obiaye. And so nyansa no. Sebi o. Impremiensa. And ye nyi edadi nyansa ba. And that is why today I want us to take a look at something crucial. Education. No country has developed without a solid educational base. Without it, where are you going? Which is why I want to focus on this. Free SHS and the proposed bill and everything in between, before I move to the cost of living. Now, how long have we had free SHS for? 6 years and 10 months of implementation. Next slide. How much have we allocated by way of budgets to free SHS? 15.65 billion Ghana cedis. If you use the current rate in the last week or so, this would be about $1 billion. Put it in that perspective. That's the context. Next slide. Now, here are some sweeping reforms as proposed, and of course there's that proposal about a policy, a bill, to hold everybody on to free SHS. Fundamentally, I've always said, free education, fantastic. Even Nkrumah was thinking about it up to the tertiary level. And there are things he did. That was part of why back then some people were sent to Germany and Russia and the rest. You remember, though he had said, we face neither east nor west, we face forward. Of course, the West had agitated him to a point, and some of these people went there. I have grand uncles and uncles who went to some of these places and studied. Yeah? So it was there then. But what are we looking at? The proposal that SHS certification become the first formal certificate replacing the BECE. In other words, the BECE, and let me explain it from the second point. You would use the BECE for school selection, not for admission. So yeah, you've taken the exam, you've passed, selection will be done, but not for admission into a senior high school. And pretty interesting, including the JHS in secondary school so that it becomes 6 years in total. Sometimes I wonder, we've gone back and forth with our education. I wonder why it's been so long and we've still not got it right. Because if you look at back then when there was middle school and all of that, then you progress and you come to the point where we had the sixth form. So you form 1, form 2, form 3, form 4, form 5, then lower 6 and upper 6. And then you ask yourself, are we going back? How are we addressing this? Of course, maybe it's not the name, but how are we going to mold it? Plus, we've done so much tinkering with our education. 3 years, 4 years. JSS, JHS, SSS, SHS, and all that. But I am not seeing the cogency in terms of where we are going, really, with our education. When you look at the global metrics when it comes to our educational standards, they are falling. They have kept falling. I think the last one, there was a bit of an improvement. But generally, Sometimes I listen to students speak, some of those quizzes and the rest, and you listen to them and you wonder, are these the people we are entrusting our future to when we are no longer there? Honestly, some people at tertiary level speak, write, even in terms of their numeracy skills, and you want to puke. So where are we going? These are the same people we are going to expect to sign contracts, read through documents, when the IMF and the World Bank and other agencies, other bilateral partners, try to ink deals with us. These are the same people who will be putting pen to paper on the dotted line. Can we trust them? You see, so if you tinker with education, sometimes, I don't know. But for me, the standards are so low now. Because mind you, now we're in a global village. You don't do something and think, oh, me wa Ghana. You are competing with someone in the US, in the UK, in Afghanistan, in Canada, in Norway, in Sweden. That's the reality. And if you can't compete, you'll fall off. Now let's go to the next slide. The IMF on free SHS, though, and I still feel there's so much work to be done. Good policy, bad implementation. I've said it all the time. The IMF, and the International Monetary Fund, said the policy is poorly targeted. Learning outcomes are poor, and this is what sometimes becomes problematic. It's not just about, free. It's quality, not just quantity. Quantity matters, yes, but how about the qualitative impact? Does anyone care? Would I be on your TV today talking to you if I didn't get that quality growing up, educationally speaking? Do you have that quality everywhere? This should resonate. That's how, even in media, you can raise the bar to certain standards. Do we have that? The need for better teacher training. And even the good ones are all Japan. Canada, US, UK, Australia. And we sit and watch. Next slide. Now, if you look at high school versus TVET enrollment, you would notice a trend. It's been on the ascendancy, which is a good thing. But then my question is, especially for TVET enrollment and training, how is that impacting us in terms of artisanal work, in terms of the technical aspect of our lives? It's in Ghana that we disrespect people who went to polytechnics and all of that, now technical universities. In other countries like France and the rest, it's actually a bit of a basic in Germany that people go through. And their economy thrives on them. It's the technical people who drive the economy. Here, suit and tie. And then, you've arrived. You go to places like Norway. The mechanic has as much respect as the heart surgeon. The mechanic is the surgeon for your car. The heart surgeon is the surgeon for your heart. Both of them are technically up there. Here, what are we doing? Kukumpe, Kumasi Mazin, Aboso Akai. Do you know the things? I remember back in the Nkrumah into the Buzia era, we had these cars, given local names. We couldn't develop anything from there. Other African countries are doing amazing things. I believe Uganda and others. And we are still sitting, marking time. Ghana, when? When I say this, I just say, when will we rise up? The rest of the world is leaving us way behind. All we know is talk and flowery language. And we will do. We never do. We will. Next slide. And then you look at the number of private and public SHSs, but that's where the devil is, because interestingly, there's been a downward trend, a spiral. While in 2016, we had 872, sharp increment, a bit of an increment in 2017, stabilized 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2021. Then it started dropping. As of 2022, 2023, 699. Look at the difference in there. Over 200 and just about 232. You ask yourself, what is happening? Are they being crowded out? As we shape policy and all of that, these are things we need to think about because they play a crucial role. That is why we even have CHAS. Yeah? CHAS. But now let's go to the next slide. I want to move on and talk about some interesting stuff. You know, what can you say, man can? But trust me, Ghana is really expensive, especially Accra. Oh, let me correct myself because for cement, for example, for those who come down south and pick it up, if they are buying it at X price, I hear in some places it's going for as much as 130 cedis. Because they come and pick it from here, transportation costs and everything, then they take it up. So, price hikes from July the 1st, 2024. Guess what? A neighbor was telling me yesterday that, new meters no they about. I said, I and I asked him, what's going on? He says, I used to pay about 200 in a month and now I'm paying 400 though. And I said, well, it also depends on what you use. It's the same thing he's using. One air conditioner, a TV, a fridge, and a few things. But I've noticed a few things. Now we're slapped with another increment. I always say that this COVID-19 levy thing, especially when we're told we had free water and electricity, which some of us didn't benefit from because of our bandwidth. But we've more than paid for this. And why are we still the only country in the world still dabbling in this? Yes, I said it, nonsense. COVID-19 levy, we are still paying for that levy. Water tariffs, 5.16% increment. Electricity tariffs, 5.84% increment. I wonder whether Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh will talk about that, but I don't think so. Petrol, 2% slapped on. Diesel, 4% added on. And mind you, practically all the farm equipment, machinery, and your trotro and everything, most of them, over 90%, per what I know, run on diesel. You know what that means, right? Then cement, 12 cedis added on just recently. People are buying cement for 100 cedis and upwards, up to about 130 cedis. The farther you are from Accra and it has to be transported to you, the more you will pay. You pay through the nose. Next slide. Then you look at the trend of average cement prices. Can you imagine? And this is not the latest figure as far as the current is concerned. But in May 2012, a bag of cement went for 10 cedis, 40 pesos, 14 cedis actually. 14 cedis. 2012. October 2014, 31. March 2022, 55. August, 59. September, 71. Just look here. Come here with me. This is 2022, up to here. 2022, March, 55. August, 59. September, 71. October, 81. November 2023, 80. May 2024, 82. Now, over 100 cedis. And in case you didn't know, this is where I fit in this bit. Accra is the 7th most expensive city to live in Africa. And that's according to Numbeo, one of the world's foremost data and research platforms. The capital city, Accra, has an index of 32 out of 100. And the index utilizes variables such as rent, groceries, that is the indices. Restaurant index, you go to any restaurant nowadays, cost of living plus rent, and then local purchasing power, PPP, purchasing power parity. Now, if you look at the severe economic challenges, South Africa on that list has 4 cities in the top 10 rankings. They have Johannesburg, Pretoria, Cape Town, I nearly said Cape Coast, Cape Town, ranking 1st, 2nd, and 3rd respectively. Lagos follows in 4th. Then you have another South African city, Durban in South Africa, then followed by Casablanca, which I've been to, in Morocco, 6th, and Ghana follows. But you know what's interesting? Before I get there, we do know that currency fluctuations, inflation, subsidy removals on essential commodities like fuel, and increased taxes are the elements fueling the rise of cost of living in many African cities. But if you look at the PPP, of all of these places, in South Africa, in Lagos. I was in Lagos just late last year, and in Lomé as well. And if you come to Ghana and you do the juxtaposition, we are worse off because they have certain systems in place there. There are certain checks and balances. Look at even real estate in Ghana now. It is abnormal. How much are you purchasing land for in East Legon, in Adregano, in Hacho, in Kwabenya? And so now we see a dine and also. That's why Michael Blackson, the American Ghanaian comedian, came to Ghana and said, well, what are you people doing here? Recently, someone showed me a facility, a house. It's like a ranch. The cost of that house in the US, plush area, will not buy land in East Legon. Where are we going? What are we doing to ourselves? And you see, when I segue, when I pick these thematic areas, it's not random. Our education is failing. And we are sitting pretending and doing politics. The cost of living is skyrocketing. Do you know what that leads to? Next slide. That leads likely to some of this. Francis Poku Esquire, speaking recently at the One Ghana Forum, he said, I am telling you authoritatively that people are losing confidence in democracy. The instant reaction is military rule is better, which I've never subscribed to, by the way. It shouldn't be so. Knowing what we've been through under military regime, why should they? Former National Security Minister. Then you go to the next slide. You have the likes of Professor Kwesi Ening saying, we have become so corrupt that is the glue that binds the nation. And I think the military, there needs to be consistent analysis and threat assessment about what the next impact of what corruption will be. Next slide. Then you have the majority leader, for once sounding a certain way. Maybe the reality is hitting him. I spoke to him recently. The recent Gen Z activism in Kenya serves as a striking warning. Let us recommit to a national agenda that not only leverages the potential of our youth, and how many are they? Millions, but also unlocks the massive development potential often associated with a demographic dividend. He acknowledges. You see, sometimes we act like we are immune. That, oh, you, dear COVID, no, be bien to me. That will say, be bien to me, no. Not just a catchy. Be bien to me. But will come for no. Obidi will come for an enemy. Next slide. And that's where I'm going to sew it up. Then, someone who was actually in Kenya. He was actually in Parliament together with our contingent, 5 of them, when this thing happened. That's my last slide. When this thing actually happened in Kenya. Neil Ante van der Poel, my former classmate, respectfully. Today, as we sit here, the perception out there is that the executive is corrupt. The judiciary has become a political pawn. We, the legislature, are selfish and uncaring, and they have low expectations of our ability to fight for them, and that is a danger. That is a member of parliament, your Odododiodo MP. He admits, I like such candor. Be bien to me. Do you think Kenya in 2008, 10, thereabouts, when they faced what they did, they felt that would happen or they wanted to go there? Do you think the latest activism, they saw it coming? That's how it happens. God forbid. But if we keep going down this road, some things, like our president will say, are bound to happen. May God help Ghana and make our nation great and strong. My name is Benjamin Akako. These are my blunt thoughts shared with you, raw, hot, unedited, undiluted. I wish you a good day.